How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hip Drop Podcast. Lucas and I are back. It is the final day of the off season. The 2025 NFL season kicks off tomorrow night with the Philadelphia Eagles defending their Super Bowl title at home against the new look and the opposite of improved Dallas Cowboys without Micah Parsons. Lucas and I will preview that game in addition to some other marquee games going on this week. We have the Chiefs and the Chargers on Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Of course, Lucas and I will be tapped into that one. Lucas has some other obligations that I'll get into, but he'll be watching in some capacity. We got the big game Sunday afternoon between the Packers and the Lions, Micah Parsons' Green Bay debut. And then on Sunday Night Football, a highly anticipated game between the Bills and the Ravens, a rematch of that great divisional round game from last January. So before we get into all of that, Lucas, how you doing on the final day of the offseason? We finally made it. We're finally here.
I am so excited. I'm done with all the offseason nonsense. I just want the games to start. And you alluded about some family commitments or some commitments. My cousin is getting married on Saturday, and they're having some sort of like get together on Friday night, and I committed to be to that. So I'll be watching the game from my phone, and it's going to be over at 8:30. So hopefully by halftime, I'll be speeding down the Minnesota highways to get back to my home to watch it on TV.
Well, congratulations to your cousin. And yes, of course, I'm kind of annoyed they made the Chiefs play in that game, but I'm not surprised. Like, the Eagles and the Packers played in that game last year, and it looked like a hockey rink out there. Jordan Love damn near blew his knee out. We'll get to it later on. But we will start with the first game of the 2025 NFL season. We'll get right into it tomorrow night, an NFC East showdown between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Dak Prescott's first game since week 9 of last year, coming off that hamstring injury. You have Brian Schottenheimer's first game as a head coach at any level. And of course, you have the Eagles, who bring back most of their starters on offense from last year's Super Bowl team. They did make some changes defensively, have some new starters there, did lose some guys on that side of the ball. So Lucas and I will give a pretty in-depth look at this game, who we think is going to win, what the keys to victory are, and then we'll do that for each of the 4 main games this weekend of this opening NFL slate. I'm like, once again, I can't keep reiterating, so glad all the offseason discourse, all the nonsense on social media, all the hot takes, that's done now. That's out the window. The real games start tomorrow night. I could not be more excited. Lucas, I'm sure, agrees. We actually get to see it play out on the field, which is the best part. So, Lucas, Eagles Cowboys tomorrow night, pretty much about just under 25 hours from now. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles will start their quest to repeat. Try to be back-to-back repeat champions, because of course the Chiefs did it in 22 and 23. So what do you think of this game? I think the NFL has got to be sick, because I don't think they anticipated, when they scheduled the Cowboys to play in this game, I don't think they anticipated Micah Parsons not being on the field. But of course he's in Green Bay. He'll be playing on Sunday afternoon against the Lions. So I look at this game, and you look at the Cowboys' defensive personnel, and it's not a whole lot to be excited about. I think the Eagles should not have too much of a problem moving the ball and scoring points in this one. With that said, I think the Cowboys could get some offense going as well, because you have Dak in his return. You trade for George Pickens, so you have a good receiver duo with Lamb and Pickens. And the Eagles defensively, like, they still have Vic Fangio. They still have some stars on that side of the ball with Jalen Carter and Quinyon Mitchell and Zach Bond. But they also, you also have some downgrades. You go from Josh Sweat to Azeez Ojulari. You go from CJ Gardner-Johnson to Sidney Brown. You go from Darius Slay to Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett. So I don't know if this defense in their first game will be up to snuff to the dominant unit they were last year. So I think it could be a high-scoring game. I hope it's a close game. I don't know if it will be, because I just think the Eagles are far more complete. But what say you? Like, what are you looking at? And how do you think this is going to go tomorrow night?
To be honest, I am not giving the Dallas Cowboys much of a chance. If they had Parsons, maybe that changes things, because even though the Eagles have great tackles, Micah Parsons is so good that it just takes one rep to force a fumble and change the course of the game. But again, the line's like 7.5 points at least in favor of the Eagles. I'm going to take them to cover, even if it goes up to like 8.5, 9.5. To me, the only way Dallas has a chance to win this game is through their passing attack. Like, that's really the only unit that's like somewhat well put together. Their offensive line's it's all right, not elite, but not like rancid by any stretch compared to like other teams. But the running back group, Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, doesn't really blow me away. But they do have Dak Prescott, who's not the best quarterback in football, but he can play a gunslinger style. He can play well if given like 50 opportunities. He is good enough to like where maybe on his good day he could throw for like 400 yards. Like he's capable at his best at lighting up. He's not Kenny Pickett.
I
And
think
then
Dak's
CeeDee
a top
Lamb.
10 quarter. I think Dak's the most underrated quarterback in the league. I think he's a top 10
No, I
quarterback
agree.
in football for what it's worth.
I'm with you. I think he's top 10. CeeDee Lamb, I think is a bona fide top 5 wide receiver. George Pickens, little bit hit and miss, but he's really good. So that's 2 probably top 35 wide receivers. If you're going off raw talent, maybe 2 top 25 wide receivers because Pickens is just too inconsistent. But like the only way Dallas has a chance in this game at all, because I have no faith in their defense or running game, is if Dak could throw for like 450 yards. And like, even though the Eagles have a good secondary, if Philadelphia doesn't get a pass rush and Dak has 3 seconds, there is a path to victory. It would probably involve winning like 34-31 in the overhitting, but that's pretty much it. The Eagles just have more ways to win this game, and so I think it's going to be a blow on Philly's favor. But if Dallas does win, and I'm dead wrong, it's going to be because Dak Prescott had a great game. Great game.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win. I don't know if it's a complete blow. Like, I don't think it's going to be like the Bills and the Rams back in 2022. It won't be that. I think Dak. Look, when you look at Dak, like I think he could exploit some areas of this Eagles defense because, like I said, like they do have some areas of their secondary that you can throw on. Like their safeties of Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown are okay. Like they're not spectacular. And like just if you throw away from Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, one of Lamb or Pickens is going to be matched up against Adoree Jackson or Jacorian Bennett. Like that's a matchup that's in the favor of Dallas. With that said, like I just don't know how the Cowboys are going to stop this offense because I just like who on the Cowboys defense do you look at and say like that guy's really good? Like Kenny Clark, I think is past his prime at this point. The guy they got in the Micah Parsons trade, Dante Fowler is. I mean, yeah, Deron Bland's a guy. Both their corners, Bland and Diggs, are probably the 2 stars of their defense. But they're guys who's going to make plays, but they also are prone to get burnt. And when you're going up against AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, like I think if Hurts can exploit those matchups, I think you can expose those guys a little bit. But I think a guy who could have a big game is Saquon Barkley, which is pretty mundane to say. I mean, the man ran for 2,000 yards last year and was ranked first on the players list of the top 100 players in the league. But the Cowboys' run defense is putrid. Like their front 7 is not good. Outside of we'll see if Clark bounces back. Dante Fowler's okay. The rest of that front 7 is either unproven or guys just who are not good. Mozzie Smith has been a bust at interior defensive tackle. We'll see if Donovan, the guy from Boston College, I cannot pronounce his last name,
Ezeraku.
We'll see how he does, but it's his first game going up against Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, like not a great matchup. Yeah, I think Dak's going to play well. Dak's 9-4 against the Eagles. He's played well against them throughout his career, but I just don't think it's going to enough. I think the Eagles win this game. I feel like 32-20, something along those lines. But yeah, I think Hurts will have a big game, and I think Saquon could have an even bigger game.
Yeah, I agree. The Cowboys defense just is not talented, as you said. There's no one on their front 7 who's like even like really good. Like Osa.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the depth chart.
Odighizuwa's all right, but like
he's pretty good. Yeah, but like I mean, their starting defensive ends are Sam Williams and Dante Fowler. Their interiors, Kenny Clark and Osa Odighizuwa. So like they have fine defensive tackles. Like those guys are okay, but their linebackers. But their linebackers are awful. Kenneth Murray is the starting linebacker. You have Maris Luafu. I mean, their corners are fine. I mean, Kyer Elam is the starting slot cornerback on this team at the moment. So I don't know, man. I just don't see a scenario where they get enough stops here.
Well, like remember, the Eagles have a great offensive line. The Cowboys might have good players on their defensive line, but like, where do you look at and say, oh yeah, Dallas has even like a fighting chance? Not really. They're not going to get any. Like, I'd be shocked if Jalen Hurts gets sacked in this game, it's only going to be because he held the ball too long, or there was just some sort of like blitz that the defensive coordinator for Dallas, I forgot who that is now. Is that the old Bears head coach?
Former
Matt
Bears
Eberflus.
Coach,
Yep, that's what I thought it was. If Matt Eberflus dials up like a corner blitz, it's not. There's not going to be a single sack in this game where the Dallas front 4 just won, and just beat
Yeah.
the Eagles offensive line. That's not going to
Now,
happen.
is Landon Dickerson playing in this game? Because I know he got hurt in practice a few weeks ago. I mean, like, so is he playing? I'm gonna look it up here.
I'm looking at the injury, trying to look at the injury report right now.
So Landon Dickerson was full participation in practice, so it looks like he will be playing tomorrow night.
That's what I thought.
So like, I mean, the Eagles' only like real weak spot on their offensive line's right guard. Tyler Steen looks like he's the starter there. He's been there for a while. He's been a backup there. He replaces Mekhi Becton. But again, like I just think the Eagles, it's their banner night. They're clearly the better team. The Cowboys just traded their best player a week ago. I think it's going to be tough sledding. I think Dak does an okay job to keep him in it, but I like I said, I don't think it's enough. Alrighty,
No, yeah.
let's move on to Friday night with the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champions, heading all the way down to Sao Paulo to take on their division rival, the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that went to the playoffs last year, but went out in the wild card round to Houston. Lucas, I think this is pretty simple. I just think if the Chiefs play a normal game, they should win. I just think they are, and I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to be biased by any stretch of the imagination, but they're just the better team in every facet. Like the Chargers, they have better safe. Like when you look at like position by position, the only areas in which the Chargers are definitely better is safety because I would Derwin James and Alohi Gilman's a better duo than Brian Cook and Chamari Connor. And maybe running back because we'll see how Amari and Hampton is. Like, see if he's any better than Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Like the Chargers sure hope so. Every other area on the field, the Chiefs have the advantage. So, like maybe the only way they could slip up here is if they just can't adjust to the field, which they played on a slip and slide field in Super Bowl 57 that the Eagles are still crying about, and they adjusted fine in that game. So I'm not too worried. The biggest worry I have with that game is somebody getting hurt. But I think they're just far superior to the Chargers in every facet. And I see the Chargers as a team that actually got worse this offseason. They didn't do much to improve their offensive weaponry. Keenan Allen does not count at this point in his career. Defensively, I just think they're kind of due for regression. I think they got fat on a lot of bad offenses last year because when you look at their personnel defensively, it's really not overwhelming. Like Khalil Mack still got it. He's not the force that he was when he was winning Defensive Player of the Year, but he's still a quality pass rusher. Derwin James is awesome. I like Henley, their linebacker. Like I think they have solid young corners and Cam Hart and Tarheeb Still. But like I don't know, man. Like it's not a defense that like I think Patrick Mahomes and company should be afraid of. Now the Chiefs, despite swiping the Chargers last year, struggled offensively in both games. They scored 17 points in week 4 and they scored 19 points in week 14. But this is a different Chiefs offense. They have Josh Simmons at left tackle instead of Wanye Morris. They have Xavier Worthy more integrated in the offense. They have a slimmed down Travis Kelce. They have Isaiah Pacheco, further removed from the knee injury. So he'll hopefully be more explosive. And you have a version of Mahomes that I think is going to play a more exciting, aggressive brand of football than he was playing last year. So I just think that if the Chiefs play a C game, I think they fly home to the States with a win.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot's going to depend on how the left side of the offensive line looks for the Chiefs. If Josh Simmons has a bad day or just isn't ready yet, I don't have that much faith in Kingsley Sumatea. If that like left guard, left tackle combinations really leak in oil, that could change things very fast. But I just don't think the Chargers are going to be able to move the ball that well. Like I just don't have a lot of faith in the non-Lad McConkey pass catchers, like maybe Trey Harris or Keandre Lambert-Smith, if I got his first name right. Maybe they surprise, but I don't know if the Chargers are going to be able to run the ball. The Chiefs' run defense last year was quietly like competent, actually really good, which is kind of weird because it's never really.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's like it's never really been an elite unit under Spags. That was kind of like his thing. Like, we'll allow you to run the ball, but like if you want to pass, good luck. But that's really it. I think if this is a high-scoring game, this kind of more benefits the Chiefs. But Patrick Mahomes is kept clean. If Josh Simmons plays well, I don't think the Chargers have the guys on the interior defensive line to really take advantage of Kingsley Sumatea having a bad game. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one. I just think this. I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to want to. He's going to want to send a message. Like I think he hears this noise. he hears like Chris Sims like labeling him the fourth best quarterback, all these other goofballs saying like, oh, someone else is the best quarterback, Mahomes is overrated, or Colin Cowherd saying that, you know what, maybe Andy Reid deserves more credit for the Chiefs dynasty than Patrick Mahomes, which, whether you believe that's right or wrong, that's a slight to Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to come out firing. I don't know if he's going to throw for 400 yards in this game and 5 touchdowns, but I think this is a game he's going to play well. If the Chiefs lose this game, I don't think it'll be because the Chiefs passing attack really had a bad day. It'll probably because maybe that defense regressed or they just couldn't get any protection on the left side of the offensive line.
Yeah, and speaking of Mahomes, like the last memory that the NFL, I'm not counting preseason action, the last memory the NFL community has of Mahomes is awful. Like it's that awful performance in the Super Bowl in which he, in which he led the offense to 1 first down through like a half plus a couple drives. He threw 2 awful interceptions. It was a bad performance in a season that, by Patrick Mahomes' standards, I think it was probably the second worst season of his career, maybe behind 2021. Statistically, it was the worst season of his career. It was the only year he didn't make the Pro Bowl. It was the only year of his career which he failed to throw for 4,000 yards. I think, like I said, I picked him to win MVP. I think he's going to have a huge year. I think this is going to be the start of that campaign against a team that he has owned. Like Patrick Mahomes is going into his 8th season as the starter, has only lost to the Chargers twice. One of those games was in his first year against Phillip Rivers in 2018. And then another one of those games was that weird fluky game in 2021, or an early season game in which the Chiefs had a bunch of drops. They had a bunch of tipped interceptions. And besides that, they have not lost. He has not lost the Chargers since week 3 of 2021. I think that trend continues, and I think the Chiefs win this game, honestly, rather comfortably. I just think they're that much better. It's a team that I think is going to be really good once again against a Chargers team that I think is going to struggle to win 9 games.
Yeah, I don't know if they win like super duper comfortably, but like I think they win this game probably by a touchdown, and maybe it's like 27-20, something like that. Yeah. And maybe it's a 27-20 where like the Chiefs are up by 10 with like 5 minutes left. Chargers get like a field goal with like 3, and the Chiefs run the clock out.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Now, the Chiefs-Chargers games are typically close, so maybe this game will be close. But regardless, I think the Chiefs win and clearly look like the better team in doing so. Alrighty, let's go to the big game Sunday afternoon in the NFC North, another divisional round matchup. We have the Packers and the Lions at Lambeau Field, a 3:25 Central Time kickoff on CBS. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo will be on the call for that game. Of course, Micah Parsons will be playing his first game as a Green Bay Packer. I'm not sure how much he'll play because like he's been there for like 5 minutes, so maybe they play him on passing downs. But it'll be his first game.
Andy got an injection in his back. Andy got an injection in his back.
Yes, I did. I did see that, but like all signs to point to him playing in this one. But I think he might be limited against the Detroit Lions, a team that went 15-2 last year, was the number 1 seed in the NFC before that surprising loss to the Commanders in the divisional round. The Lions are a new look team, like in terms of their coaching staff. Dan Campbell obviously is back, but they lost their 2 excellent coordinators in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to head coaching jobs and replaced them with John Morton, who's been an offensive coordinator once, and that was with a pretty bad Jets team in 2017. And Kelvin Shepard, a former linebacker in the NFL, played for the Bills, played for the Colts, has never called plays at any level defensively. He takes over for Aaron Glenn. So that's been the biggest talking point with this Lions team throughout this offseason. But this is still a talented roster. Like you bring back, they still have good skill position players with their backfield of Gibbs and Montgomery. St. Brown's still there. Laporta, who had a down year last year, but is still a very talented tight end. But one area in which they clearly got worse is their offensive line with the retirement of their all-pro center, Frank Ragnow. Kevin Zeitler leaves to Tennessee. Penei Sewell, who is an excellent, excellent player, he's still there. And defensively, like they were just a mash unit last year with all those injuries. A lot of their guys are back. Aiden Hutchinson's back after that devastating injury last year. We'll see how he looks. We'll see how long it takes him to regain his explosiveness. And then they have a lot of talent in the secondary with Brian Branch and Terrion Arnold and Kirby Joseph, who led the league in interceptions last year. So it should be a really good game. Lucas, I'll let you give your thoughts on who wins first, because this Packers team, I didn't really know what to do with until they traded for Micah Parsons. I picked them to go to the NFC Championship. I think they have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we don't really know what they're getting, but with Matt LaFleur calling plays, I think he's always produced good offenses, and I think they have enough talent to for that trend to continue this year. So, what say you on this matchup? Because I'm pretty excited to look into this one.
Yeah, I think this is a matchup even before Micah Parsons. I was going to pick Green Bay to win, and I'm going to stand
Yeah,
by it. I think more so just because the Lions had a lot of changes in the offseason. I understand their defense was pretty beat up, to say the least, to end last year. They lost both coordinators, and not only that, they lost multiple position coaches on each side of the ball that followed their respective coaches to their head coaching jobs. And that matters a lot. And I don't think the Lions are going to be a bad team. They're going to make the playoffs, but that coordinator shakeup, and Dan Campbell doesn't call plays on offense or defense, so it's not like there's some sort of consistency. Like if the Chiefs lost both coordinators, they still have Andy Reid who runs the offense. That's pretty scary for me. That's a lot of question marks. And then that interior of the offensive line got beat up. Frank Ragnow retired. They lost another guard, and the weakness even beforehand last year was the right guard spot, and now they didn't really properly address it. So, but maybe the couple of young guys they have are going to do a good job and surpass expectations. But I'm really kind of scared of that interior offensive line. So that's kind of why, along with the coaching staff changes, that I'm going to pick Green Bay. Even before the Micah Parsons trade, this is what I was going to pick. I think the Lions are going to get off to a bit of a slow start this season and then really pick things up. But I don't think they're going to win this game. It's at Lambeau Field. I think the Packers fans are going to be fired up because of the trade. They know, like, we have a team that's capable of winning the Super Bowl. That stadium's going to be rocking, and I'm going to go with the home team.
yeah. So I forgot to mention I picked the Lions to miss the playoffs. If you don't believe me, check out our previous episode. I have them going 9-8 this year because I feel like there's always a team that is really good one year and kind of falls off a cliff the next year. From 2021 to 2022 was the Packers. They go from the 1 seed to missing the playoffs. From 22 to 23, it was the Bengals. From 23 to 24, it was the Niners who went from the Super Bowl to going 6-11 last year. I think the Lions are kind of that team this year. When you lose both coordinators, you lose your all-world center. Your best defensive player is coming off a catastrophic injury. I forgot to mention they did bring in DJ Reed so I think their secondary is probably the strength of their team with Reed, Branch, and Joseph. But I think this is a spot where the Packers, they're at home. I just think it's setting up well for them. I mean, they played them tough last year in that game in Detroit, that Thursday night game that they really easily could have won. Now, Jordan Love, since becoming the Packers starter, is 1-3 against the Detroit Lions. The one win coming on Thanksgiving in 2023. I think that improves to 2-3. I think it's gonna be a relatively low scoring game. I think seems like a 2017 type game because I think the Lions secondary can kind of take advantage of the Packers' young receivers. But I think the Packers' best success will come running the ball with Josh Jacobs against a Lions front seven that I think is decent, but nothing spectacular. But I actually think, like, when you look at Jared Goff, I think the Packers could, like, kind of force him off his spot in this one with Parsons, with Gary, with Devontae Wyatt in the inside. When you have a guy like Edgerton Cooper at linebacker who you can blitz off, you can send on blitzes. Like Jared Goff throughout his career has really struggled, when pressured. So if the Packers can get pressure on him, I think they can come away with this win. I give me the Packers 20-17 opening their season with a win. By the way, their first home opener since 2018, interestingly enough.
Really? It's the first time they've opened up the season at
Yes,
Lambeau
this is
since
the first time they've
2018?
opened a season at home since the 2018 season. So 2019, they opened Chicago, 2020 in Minnesota. 2021, they played the Saints in Jacksonville. 2022, Minnesota. 2023, Chicago. And then last year, they played in Brazil.
2023 Chicago. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of, I didn't think about that, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm gonna go like 23-17. I'm gonna go one more field goal, just a little bit long, just a little bit of a bigger margin. But yeah, I think the Packers win this game. I'm not like gonna sit here and say, oh, I'm very confident like I was for the Eagles game or the Chiefs game, but I think the Packers are the right favorites. Shouldn't be heavy favorites because I still think the Lions have a pretty good roster, but I'm kind of more comfortable with where the Packers are at this point, or where the Packers currently are at this point, given the structure and changes in Detroit.
I agree. They have a lot more continuity on their staff. All right. The last game we'll be previewing is the Sunday night football game between the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, the last two NFL MVPs, the top two MVP candidates from a year ago in a rematch of that divisional round game, where, of course, the Bills won. Um, this game has everything you want. You have two excellent quarterbacks. You have two teams that have been contenders for a long time. You have my Super Bowl champion this year in the Buffalo Bills, opening their season at home against the Ravens. Like this game, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like these two teams are the two teams that what they do in the regular season doesn't really matter anymore. Just because we know how good they are in the regular season when they're healthy. They're going to be in the playoffs, barring a catastrophe. It's about getting to Santa Clara and finally getting to and winning a Super Bowl, and that starts on Sunday night. And this is interesting because in my opinion, I think the Ravens have the better roster, 1 through 53. But weirdly enough, I think the Bills are the better team because the Bills last year lost 3 games that mattered and they were all the playoff teams. It was to Houston, it was to Baltimore, and it was to the Rams. Whereas the Ravens, they have this tendency to kind of, lose games they shouldn't. Last year, they lose to the Browns, they lose to the Raiders. In 2023, when they had maybe their best team in franchise history, they still lost to Gardner Minshew's Colts and Kenny Pickett's Steelers. Because I think the Bills have been the more consistent team. I feel like they've been closer to getting into a Super Bowl. I feel like if I were a betting man, I think they win one before, which is why I picked them. And I feel like they kind of have, like, Josh Allen has beaten Lamar Jackson twice in the playoffs. I know they beat him in the regular season last year, but this game is in Buffalo. It's in front of the home fans. The Bills went undefeated at home last year. I think they win this game at home. I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. Because I don't know how good the Bills' defense is. If I have a big concern about the Bills, it is their defense. I think they have a lot of holes in that side of the ball. That's kind of covered up by how good their offense was last year. So, like, the Bills' offense faces a tougher challenge against the Ravens' defense. You could argue that, but I don't know, man. I just feel like the momentum continues with how this team plays in front of their home fans. And I think they win this game like 30-27. I think Josh Allen's going to play really well. Baltimore's defense, I think is going to be a good unit. I think they struggle in this one because I think the Bills can kind of exploit their front seven with their running game because the strength of the Bills' offense outside of their offensive line is outside of Josh Allen is their offensive line, and the strength of the Ravens' defense is their secondary against the Bills' receivers, which are pretty middling by NFL standards. So I think the Bills are going to run the hell out of the ball in this one, which is their key to victory. They're going to try to force Lamar Jackson to some mistakes. If they can take Derrick Henry away, I think Buffalo walks away with a victory.
Yeah, this is probably the game I'm most excited to watch pound for pound in this entire week, just because this game is going to matter a lot. Like I expect the Ravens and Bills, especially the Bills, to win their divisions. And of course, to get the number 1 seed in the only first round bye, you have to win your division. So this game could have tie-breaking implications. Don't listen to anyone that says the games in week 17 are more important than games in week 1 because they're all weighted equally. So this game is going to matter a ton. I just think Baltimore is going to come out with more to prove in this game. I just think Baltimore as a team realized, like, we probably should have won last year. Whether that's a right or a wrong feeling, Mark Andrews, all due respect, had a very, very rough second half of that game. Lamar Jackson had a rough first half, but I think Baltimore kind of feels like we were the better team and they should have won. I picked Baltimore to win that divisional round game very handily. I think they're going to come out firing.
I think I picked them too.
Yeah, but like me too, yeah. But what I'm nervous about is the Ravens generally don't start very strong. I mean, last year they started 0-2. They lost to the Chiefs in that opener by a toe, and then they lost to the Raiders the following game. Of all teams, they lost to the Raiders. That's not good. And the Antonio Pierce-led Raiders. But I think they're going to come out and make a statement. They're not going to start slow this year. I think Baltimore's roster is so much superior to Buffalo that I think if Lamar Jackson plays pretty well, they have the overall edge. I understand the game's in Buffalo, but it's the opening game of the season. The rosters are pretty comparable. just in terms of if you factor in the quarterbacks, like you said. But if you factor out the quarterbacks, Baltimore's much superior. I think the Ravens win this game. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a rock fight, just because I just don't know if the offenses are going to be clicking that easily. It might take them a little while. I'm going to go Ravens 24-21. And this is a game that I think there's going to be multiple lead changes in the second half. It might be an ugly first half where it's like 7-7 or something at halftime, and both defenses are coming out strong. But in the second half, the quarterbacks are going to steal the show. I'm going to go with the Ravens getting their revenge. I don't think Mark Andrews is going to have a fumble or a drop in this game.
So that's our first disagreement. That's one point you made. Like the Ravens kind of have a history of even in 2019 when they went 14-2, they started 2-2 that year. In 2023, when they were the 1 seed in Lamar and hosted the AFC Championship game, they started 3-2. Last year they started 0-2. Whereas the Bills, on the other hand, start every season on fire. Like the Bills in September are unstoppable. Since Josh Allen's breakout, they lost week 1 in 2021, but then they won 4 straight in dominating fashion. And then in 2023, they lost the first game to the Jets. And then they won their next 3 games in dominating fashion. Like the Bills have in both those games. The 2021 game was at home. The 2023 game was on the road. Last year, like in September, they were unstoppable like through 3 weeks. Then they hit a bit of a 2-game lull, and then they got rolling again. I think that their history of starting seasons really hot, and the Ravens' history of starting seasons like kind of slow a little bit, and then picking it up later in the year plays into it. So that's part of the reason why I think the Bills win it. And of course, how can I pick my Super Bowl winner to lose their opening game? I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. This was like part of me wanted to pick Buffalo, but at the same time, I kind of looked at part of the reason why I picked Baltimore when I did like the overall season predictions was if Buffalo wins this game, I mean, there's not that much stopping them from starting the season 6-0 through the bye week. And
I
even
know.
6-0,
Yeah.
even 7-0, like after the bye, they're at Carolina. They're week 2, they're at the Jets. Week 3, hosting Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Week 4, at home against the Saints. And at home against the Saints the next game. So that should be even more of a slaughter. Week 5, at home against the Patriots. That could get tough. Week 6, at the Falcons, Monday Night Football. I picked the Falcons to win, but like that's winnable if the pass rush for the Falcons isn't what they want it to be after investing 2 first-round picks. And then week 8, after the bye, at Carolina, they should win that game. And then it's week 9 at Kansas City. And then really after that, the second half of the season for the Bills is going to get tough, with the exception of the Browns in week 16 and the Jets in week 18. They really don't have an easy game post week 10. So I kind of picked Baltimore thinking, okay, Buffalo's probably going to lose 2 or 3 games this year. I'm just going to pick it against the best team they'll probably face at home this year other than Kansas City.
Fair enough. And of course, like with the Bills own the Chiefs in the regular season. Unfortunately for them, they have done the opposite of owning the Chiefs in games that matter, that determine whether you keep playing or go home. All right, so we both pick the Eagles, we both pick the Chiefs, we both pick the Packers, but our first disagreement, you went with the Ravens, and I went with the Bills. All right, so those are 4 of our week 1 picks. We will now do the rest of those picks for week 1. So Eagles, Cowboys. Obviously, I took the Eagles. I took the Chiefs over the Chargers. Falcons, Bucks, NFC South showdown. Really the 2 teams in the NFC South that have a realistic shot at the playoffs. In my opinion, I will take the Bucks to win this game on the road. The Falcons have a history of starting seasons poorly. I think that this continues. And Baker has a big game against the Falcons. Browns, Bengals. I think the Bengals week 1 struggles come to an end. The Browns are just so putrid. I know they've struggled against them in Cleveland, but those Browns teams were at least competent. This Browns team is not. I think the Bengals win it. Finally win a game in week 1 for the first time in 4 years. Colts, Dolphins. Well, I think the Dolphins are going to be pretty bad this year. With that being said, they are 3-0 in season openers under Mike McDaniel. The Colts have not won a season opener since 2013. And I think that continues. I think the Dolphins win this game in Indianapolis to get one of their 5 wins this year. Jags, Panthers, a quietly intriguing game between 2 first overall picks. I think Jacksonville wins this one at home in the first game of the Liam Cohen era and the Travis Hunter era. And Trevor Lawrence, hopefully, against Carolina's defense, gets back on track a little bit. Patriots, Raiders, another quietly good game. I'm going to take the Raiders to go into New England and get a win to start off the Pete Carroll era. Geno Smith leads them to victory. Somewhat of an upset there. I think some might take the Patriots. I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. Saints, Cardinals. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I don't think the Saints win a game this year. And if they do, it's not more than two. I think they're going to be absolutely awful. I think the Cardinals will bludgeon them in this one. Jets, Steelers. That game's going to be an eyesore, but I will take the Steelers. I think they're the better team. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. They have the better roster. Give me Pittsburgh in this one. Aaron Rodgers gets his revenge against his old team. Commanders, Giants. Give me the Commanders. They're the better team. They have the far better quarterback. They have the better coach. They have more momentum. They're coming off an NFC Championship appearance. They have expectations. I think the Giants are somewhat frisky, but the Commanders, I think, take care of business in this one. Broncos, Titans. I think Cam Ward is going to have a fine career, but I think he's going to have a rough debut against this defense on the road. Give me the Broncos, who I think is a playoff team this year. Seahawks, Niners. I'm going to take the Niners in this one to get a win in Seattle. I am not high in the Seahawks team at all. I think Robert Saleh's defense could give Sam Darnold fits against this offensive line. So give me the Niners here. I already took the Packers over the Lions. Rams, Texans. I'm just going to assume Matthew Stafford is a good go, and I'll take the Rams. I just don't like this Texans offensive line against the Rams front with Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner. I think they could have CJ Stroud in hell all day. Give me the Rams in this one. Bills, Ravens, as I said, I already took the Bills. And then Monday Night Football, we get the Bears and the Vikings in NFC North showdown. Give me the Vikings to steal this game on the road to open up the J.J. McCarthy era with a victory.
Excellent, excellent. We have some disagreement. So, first game of the season, Eagles, Cowboys. Eagles win. I think they cover the 7.5 point plus spread. I'll take them to win by double digits. Chiefs, Chargers. I pick the Chiefs. They're going to win by more than a field goal. Then for the Sunday games, Falcons, Bucks. I'm going to take the Falcons to win at home. I think this is just because of the home team. I think they'll win, but like it's week one. I don't really know what to think of the Falcons, but I'm going to bet on Michael Penix to start strong. Then Browns hosting the Bengals. Again, I do think the Bengals win, but I think the Browns are going to make it ugly. The Bengals just never seem to come out firing early, but I still don't think that'll prevent them from winning. If they lose this game, they're going to have to do some serious self-reflecting. Then Colts at home against the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Colts. Everything you said makes sense. Dolphins haven't lost a week one game with Mike McDaniel. Colts haven't won a week one game since really the first ever game that Alex Smith played with the Chiefs. Not the game, but like that day. Like that's the last time the Colts won a season over 2013. That's insane. But I'm still going to take the Colts. I think Shane Steichen knows he's coaching for his job. It's the first game post Robert Irsay or Jim Irsay's passing. So I think the Colts are going to come out strong. After that, who knows? Then Jaguars at home against the Panthers. I think the Jaguars win. Same logic as you. Patriots, Raiders. I think the Patriots win by a field goal. But like, if this is a game where I was like, I could see the Raiders winning. Like Pete Carroll coming out strong at his old coaching stopping grounds. But still, give me the Patriots. Cardinals, Saints. Same logic. Cardinals are just the much better team. Jets at hosting the Steelers. I'm going to take the Jets in an upset. I think Aaron Glenn is going to want to set a culture. He's going to want to come out swinging. Aaron Rodgers is going to want revenge, but I think Aaron Glenn firing up his boys for this game is going to be more powerful. Then Giants at home against the Commanders. I think the Giants are going to cover the 6-point spread, and I don't think that's a controversial statement, but I'm still going to take the Commanders to win. They just have the much better team. Jane Daniels is better than Russell Wilson. Not much else needs to be stated. Broncos, they're going to blow out Tennessee. Tennessee just doesn't have the roster. And the Broncos last year, when they won, they tend to win in blowout. Like they didn't have very many close wins last year. They won. It felt like they had 6 or 7 completely blowout wins. They destroyed a couple teams, but I still think, and I think that's what's going to happen against Tennessee. Then Seahawks against the Niners. I think Seattle's going to win this one. I don't think Seattle's going to be very good either, but it's week one. There's going to be some weird games we look back at it in hindsight, but give me Seattle win at home. Then Packers, Lions. Already picked the Packers. Texans, Rams. I'm going to go with Houston, whether Matthew Stafford plays or not. If he plays, he's not going to be 100%, but the Texans pass rush could get after a Rams offensive line that has a lot of questions. It should be better this year, but I don't know if I have much faith if it's going to be ready to handle Houston. I think Houston goes into LA and gets an upset. Then Ravens at the Bills. I already picked the Ravens and I pick them. Then Monday Night Football, Bears, Vikings. I'm going to take the Bears. I think Ben Johnson is going to want to shut up the Caleb Williams haters. I don't know how JJ McCarthy is going to look. This is one of the games I'm least confident in. It's probably like a bottom 3 confidence score, but I think Chicago's Ben Johnson's going to want a great start. The Bears have one of those fan bases where if they're down by 10 points at halftime, it's going to get really, really loud with boos in that stadium. I think Ben Johnson knows that. He coached in Detroit for how many years, and he's going to want to start out strong, and I think that's what's going to happen. I have questions about Caleb Williams, but give me Chicago.
Oh, so you're just picking against me every time. My gosh. So
Yeah.
to recap, so like a difference this year, Lucas and I will be keeping track of who we win, of which teams we pick win, and we'll do an overall record at the end of the regular season. So after week 18, and whoever has the winning record gets to choose a punishment, nothing too harsh, nothing too crazy, but a punishment similar to a fantasy football punishment for whoever has the inferior record. So we'll see if we get off to a good start. Lucas and I will obviously differ because he and I went against each other a couple times. But to recap, so we both took the Eagles, we both took the Chiefs. I took the Bucks. Lucas takes the Falcons. We both took the Bengals. I took the Dolphins. You took the Colts. We both took the Jags. I took the Raiders. You took the Pats. We both take the Cardinals. You took the Jets in a pretty decent upset. I take the Steelers. Yeah. We both take the Commanders. We both take the Broncos. I'm kind of surprised you took Seattle because this is a team that we've been low on most of the offseason. I take the Niners.
It's a week
but
one.
It is week one. Week one is a little wonky. We all know that. Hell, the 2020 Jaguars beat a Colts team that made the playoffs in week 1 of 2020. So who knows? Anything can happen. We both take the Packers. I took the Rams. You took the Texans. We both take you took the Ravens. I took the Bills, and then you took the Bears. I take the Vikings. So one of us will have bragging rights. We went against each other, but that's what makes this all fun. So, that's week 1 is upon us. Starts tomorrow night, ends Monday night. A lot of divisional matchups I'm noticing here, Lucas.
Yeah.
So that motivates some of these teams to get ahead on some of these division rivals.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's intriguing as well. I think the NFL wanted to start off the year with a lot of rivalries, and it's not just divisional games, but it's arguably the biggest rival in each division for a lot of these teams, like Eagles, Cowboys, Bears, Packers, Lions. But the Packers are kind of rivals with everyone. But at the same time, it's going to be an exciting season. I can't wait for real games. I'm not a big college guy, so I'm kind of glad to have real games. But it's a lot of intrigue this year. I mean, there's some games I'm watching. I think the game that I'm not most excited to watch, but I'm going to be eyeing is probably going to be Dolphins Colts fascinates me. And I know that's going to be weird to say,
my God.
But those are two teams with very, very high variance seasons. The Colts could just completely bottom out if their quarterback situation goes belly up. But if Daniel Jones kind of has a resurrection similar to Sam Darnold, that team could be a big pain in the ass to play. Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, that offense is usually going to be electric. But if he just can't stay healthy or he just bottoms out, Mike McDaniel loses the locker room, training camp has not been kind to them, that team could be sneaky bad. Those are two teams who, given how high variance they are, I'm just kind of curious. But the other game I'm kind of weirdly kind of eyeing is the Raiders-Patriots.
I know that game. I like that game. That game, all of my eye on.
Yeah, two different eras. I think that could be if you had to make me pick a sleeper, most entertaining game of the week, not necessarily maybe the most impactful, but the most entertaining. That game could be up there because the Raiders can pass the ball. They can't really do anything else that well. Ashton Genty is making his debut. The Drake May. Mike Vrabel's going to want to put on a show. He's kind of a showman. He's going to want to make sure Drake May comes out firing. It could just be one of those games that wait, how the heck is it 35-35 in the fourth quarter? Raiders can't cover anyone, but at the same time, Geno Smith is going to want to make a statement to the Seattle Seahawks saying, you shouldn't have moved on from me, and we're going to do it. And so will Pete Carroll. I think both teams are going to want to have something to prove. So I'd probably watch that game if you're looking for probably a game under the radar, fun game to watch.
Yeah, another game for me is that Atlanta Tampa Bay game. Because you picked Tampa to get the 1 seed, if I remember correctly, but you have them starting 0-1 here.
Yeah.
Atlanta's a team that I think is pretty high variance. I don't see a world where they're really bad because I think they have too much talent to be terrible, especially offensively. But like, I don't know, like, is this the year like they finally are good? Because last year I thought they were gonna be pretty good, but then Kirk Cousins like completely fell apart. Michael Penix, like I liked what I saw from him in very limited action last year, but like this is a real thing. Teams have more tape on him now, so we don't know. Um, that's an interesting game. I can see that game being kind of a shootout because Baker has played well against the Falcons throughout his career in Tampa. I believe the game against them last year, he lost them both. They
That
lost both
Thursday
games,
that Thursday
but
night game where Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards.
Baker went off in that game though. Like he threw
Yeah.
for over 300, like Baker or close to 400. Like Baker was awesome in that game too. So I don't know. That should be fun. Like the New England Raiders and Atlanta Tampa are two fun games. Look, I think the Cardinals to go 8-9 this year, but I think that's gonna be the biggest blowout of the week. I think they're gonna kill the
No.
Saints. I mean, the Saints are just, I don't know. Like I think that team's gonna be really bad. As most people do.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Cardinals I picked to make the playoffs, so I think they're of course going to have a good year. This is going to be one of the wins that gets them there. Cardinals have to win this game. Like Kyler Murray has to play well. Doesn't have to throw for
Yeah.
400 yards, but Kyler cannot come out flat and lose this game because Jonathan Gannon's under pressure. But if Arizona loses this game, I don't think it's going to be because they lost 38-35. It's going to be because they lost like 14-10 or like 17-14. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on Kyler.
Yeah, like you can't lose to the Saints, dude. My God, you can't lose to Spencer Rattler to open the year. In a year which, like, if they miss the playoffs, like he's probably elsewhere in 2026.
Yeah. His contract
that's
opens
the way
up,
I
so
see
like,
it. Yeah,
yes,
I think the teams that are, I just don't see it happening though. I just think the Saints are so bad that like I don't see a scenario. The teams that I think are under the most pressure to win this week are the Bengals and. To me, it's the Bengals and the Steelers, in my opinion. Because the Bengals, it's like, all right, man, like every week one for the last 3 years has been an absolute horror show. Last year, they lose to a horrendous Patriots team at home. They're playing a team that is probably just as bad as that New England team, maybe a little better. Because I mean, Stefanski's a better coach than Gerard Mayo. I think Flacco is better than Jacoby Brissett. But a game that you should win. I don't care that it's in Cleveland. Like you cannot lose to this team week one. And for the Steelers, like it's a team that has like some hype. Like you can't lose to the Jets. Like you have the Ravens twice, you have the Bills later in the year, you have the Bengals twice, you have the Vikings in Dublin. If you're gonna win those games, like hell, even New England on the road in week 3, you gotta hit the layups. The Jets are a layup. You gotta win this game.
Yeah, I actually would agree. Like the Steelers and the Jets, or Steelers and the Bengals are the two of the teams under the most pressure to like do something this year in any capacity.
Just to
But they're
not
also
lose.
playing.
To not
But they're also
lose.
playing
Like you
teams
gotta
that are
win.
expected to be bottom 5. Like they're not the teams that have the most to gain by winning, but it's necessary. They don't have the most to gain, but they have the most to lose. If that makes sense.
Exactly, because I think if the Bengals and Steelers lose these games to the Jets and the Browns, like the narrative's going to flip on them. Like, yeah, they're just not that good. You know,
Yeah.
it could get late early if they lose these games. You got to fly back
And
to Pittsburgh and Cincinnati with a victory of any capacity.
And also with the Bengals, like look at their schedule. Like the first 6 weeks of the year, the first 2 games are a hell of a lot easier than the first 2. If they lose
they
to
have
Cleveland,
Jacksonville week 2.
What happens if Jacksonville comes to town? I don't know if Jacksonville's going to be a playoff team, but like given how they have Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Liam Cohen, and Trevor Lawrence, like I could see that offense scoring 35 against a bad Bengals defense. And then it's just a matter of can the Bengals offensive line hold off the Jacksonville Jaguars like weirdly good pass rush? Who knows? Like there's not that if they Bengals start 0-1, there's not that much separating them from 2-4. And if they go to 2-4, I don't think they're going to recover this year. So they have to hit the layups. They just gotta.
Yeah. All right. So message to the Steelers and the Jets. You both have layups this week. You got to make them because you're going to get some tougher shots later in the year. All right, everybody. Lucas, do you have anything more to add in our last show of the offseason? He does not. That should about wrap it up for this episode of the Owen Smith Show. We will be back next week to recap some action of week 1, to look ahead to week 2. And football, the NFL, it's back, it's here, and we're so excited. Thank you, everybody.